Genesis. Chapter 11. Now the whole earth had one language and one speech. And it came to pass, as they journeyed from the east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said one to another, Go to, let us make brick, and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime had they for mortar. And they said, Go to, let us build ourselves a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven, and let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower, which the sons of men builded. And the Lord said, Behold, they are one people, and they have all one language, and this is only the beginning of what they will do, and now nothing that they propose to do will be impossible for them. Go to, let us go down, and there confuse their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So the Lord scattered them from there over the face of all the earth, and they stopped building the city. Therefore its name was called Babel, because there the Lord confused the language of all the earth, and from there the Lord scattered them over the face of all the earth. These are the generations of Shem. Shem was 100 years old when he begot Arphaxad 2 years after the flood. And Shem lived after he begot Arphaxad 500 years, and begot sons and daughters. And Arphaxad lived 35 years, and begot Shelah. And Arphaxad lived after he begot Shelah 403 years, and begot sons and daughters. And Shelah lived 30 years, and begot Eber. And Shelah lived after he begot Eber 403 years, and begot sons and daughters. And Eber lived 34 years, and begot Peleg. And Eber lived after he begot Peleg 430 years, and begot sons and daughters. And Peleg lived 30 years, and begot Reu. And Peleg lived after he begot Reu 209 years, and begot sons and daughters. And Reu lived 32 years, and begot Serug. And Reu lived after he begot Serug 207 years, and begot sons and daughters. And Serug lived 30 years, and begot Nahor. And Serug lived after he begot Nahor 200 years, and begot sons and daughters. And Nahor lived 29 years, and begot Terah. And Nahor lived after he begot Terah 119 years, and begot sons and daughters. And Terah lived 70 years, and begot Abram, Nahor, and Haran. These are the generations of Terah. Terah begot Abram, Nahor, and Haran begot Lot. And Haran died while his father Terah was still alive, in the land of his birth, in Ur of the Chaldeans. And Abram and Nahor took wives for themselves. The name of Abram's wife was Sarai, and the name of Nahor's wife was Milcah, the daughter of Haran, the father of Milcah and the father of Iscah. And Sarai was barren, she had no children. And Terah took Abram his son, and Lot the son of Haran, his grandson, and Sarai his daughter-in-law, his son Abram's wife, and they went out with them from Ur of the Chaldeans, to go to the land of Canaan, and they came to Haran, and dwelt there. And the days of Terah were 205 years, and Terah died in Haran. Chapter 12. Now the Lord said to Abram, Go from your country, your people and your father's household to the land I will show you. I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you, I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and whoever curses you I will curse, and all peoples on earth will be blessed through you. So Abram went, as the Lord had told him, and Lot went with him. Abram was 75 years old when he departed from Haran. He took his wife Sarai, his nephew Lot, all the possessions they had accumulated and the people they had acquired in Haran, and they set out to go to the land of Canaan. When they arrived in the land of Canaan, they set out. And Abram passed through the land to the place of Shechem, to the oak of Moreh, and the Canaanites were then in the land. The Lord appeared to Abram and said, To your offspring I will give this land. So he built an altar there to the Lord, who had appeared to him. From there he moved on to the hill country east of Bethel and pitched his tent, with Bethel on the west and Ai on the east, and there he built an altar to the Lord and called on the name of the Lord. Then Abram journeyed on, going on toward the Negev. Now there was a famine in the land, and Abram went down to Egypt to sojourn there because the famine was severe in the land. When he was about to enter Egypt, he said to Sarai his wife, I know that you are a beautiful woman. And it shall come to pass, when the Egyptians see you, that they will say, This is his wife. And they will kill me, but they will keep you alive. Say, I pray you, that you are my sister, so that it may go well with me for your sake, and that my soul may live because of you. Now it came to pass, when Abram entered Egypt, that the Egyptians saw the woman, that she was very beautiful. And the princes of Pharaoh saw her, and praised her before Pharaoh, and the woman was taken into Pharaoh's house. And he treated Abram well for her sake, and he had sheep, and oxen, and male donkeys, and male servants, and female servants, and female donkeys, and camels. But the Lord afflicted Pharaoh and his house with great plagues because of Sarai, Abram's wife. Then Pharaoh called Abram and said, What is this that you have done to me? Why did you not tell me that she was your wife? Why did you say, She is my sister? Therefore I took her to be my wife. Now therefore, here is your wife, take her and go. And Pharaoh gave orders to his men concerning him, and they escorted him, and his wife, and all that he had. Chapter 13. So Abram went up from Egypt to the Negev, he and his wife and all that he had, and Lot with him. Now Abram was very rich in livestock, in silver, and in gold. And he journeyed from the Negev to Bethel, to the place where his tent had been at the beginning, between Bethel and Ai. To the place of the altar which he had made there at the first, and there Abram called on the name of the Lord. Lot also, who went with Abram, had flocks, herds, and tents. But the land was not able to support them, for their possessions were so great that they could not dwell together. And there was strife between the herdsmen of Abram's livestock and the herdsmen of Lot's livestock, and the Canaanites and the Perizzites were then dwelling in the land. And Abram said to Lot, Let there be no strife between you and me, and between your herdsmen and my herdsmen, for we are brothers. Is not the whole land before you? Separate yourself from me. If you take the left hand, then I will go to the right, or if you take the right hand, then I will go to the left. Lot lifted up his eyes and saw that the whole plain of the Jordan was well watered everywhere, before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, like the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt as you go toward Zoar. So Lot chose for himself the whole plain of the Jordan, and Lot journeyed eastward. Thus they separated from each other. Abram dwelt in the land of Canaan, while Lot dwelt in the cities of the plain and pitched his tents toward Sodom. Now the men of Sodom were wicked and great sinners against the Lord. And the Lord said to Abram, after Lot had separated from him, Lift up your eyes now, and look from the place where you are, northward and southward and eastward and westward. For all the land that you see I will give to you and to your offspring forever. I will make your offspring as numerous as the dust of the earth, so that if one can count the dust of the earth, then your offspring also can be counted. Arise, walk through the length and breadth of the land, for I will give it to you. So Abram moved his tents and went and dwelt by the oaks of Mamre, which are at Hebron, and there he built an altar to the Lord. Chapter 14. And it came to pass in the days of Amraphel king of Shinar, Arioch king of Elasa, Chedorlaomer king of Elam, and Tidal king of Goyim, that these made war with Bera king of Sodom, and Bershah king of Gomorrah, Shernab king of Admah, and Shemeber king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, that is, Zor. All these gathered together in the valley of Siddim, that is, the Salt Sea. They had served Chedorlaomer 12 years, but in the 13th year they rebelled. And in the 14th year Chedorlaomer came, and the kings that were with him, and smote the Rephaim in Ashtaroth Karnaim, and the Zuzim in Ham, and the Emim in Shave Kiriathaim. And the Horites in their Mount Seir, unto El Paran, which is by the wilderness. Then they returned and came to En Mishpat, that is, Kadesh, and struck down all the land of the Amalekites, and also the Amorites who lived in Hazazon Tamar. Then the king of Sodom, and the king of Gomorrah, and the king of Admah, and the king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, that is, Zor, went out and drew up their battle lines against them in the valley of Siddim. Against Chedorlaomer king of Elam, and Tidal king of Goyim, and Amraphel king of Shinar, and Arioch king of Elasa, 4 kings against 5. Now the valley of Siddim was full of bitumen pits, and the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah fled and fell there, and the rest fled to a mountain. And they took all the goods of Sodom and Gomorrah and all their provisions and went away. They also took Lot, Abram's nephew, who was living in Sodom, and his possessions, and went away. Then one who had escaped came and told Abram the Hebrew, who was living near the great trees of Mamre the Amorite, a brother of Eshcol and Aner, all allies of Abram. When Abram heard that his brother had been taken captive, he mustered his trained servants, born in his household, 318 of them, and pursued them as far as Dan. He divided his forces against them by night, he and his servants, and struck them down and pursued them as far as Hobah, which is east of Damascus. He brought back all his possessions, and brought back his brother Lot and his possessions, as well as the women and the people. And the king of Sodom went out to meet him, after he returned from defeating Kedorlaomer and the kings who were with him, at the valley of Shave, which is the king's valley. And Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought out bread and wine, he was priest of God Most High. And he blessed him and said, Blessed be Abram by God Most High, possessor of heaven and earth. And blessed be God Most High, who has delivered your enemies into your hand. And Abram gave him a tenth of everything. Then the king of Sodom said to Abram, Give me the people, and take the goods for yourself. But Abram said to the king of Sodom, I have raised my hand to the Lord, God Most High, possessor of heaven and earth. I have sworn that I will not take anything belonging to you, not even a thread or a sandal strap, so that you may not say, I made Abram rich. Except only what the young men have eaten, and the share that belongs to the men who went with me, Aner, Eshcol, and Mamre, let them take their share. Chapter 15. After these things the word of the Lord came to Abram in a vision, saying, Do not be afraid, Abram. I am your shield, your very great reward. But Abram said, Sovereign Lord, what can you give me since I remain childless and the one in charge of my household is Eliezer of Damascus? And Abram said, You have given me no children, so a servant in my household will be my heir. Then the word of the Lord came to him, This man will not be your heir, but a son who will come from your own body will be your heir. He took him outside and said, Look up at the heavens and count the stars, if indeed you can count them. Then he said to him, So shall your offspring be. And Abram believed the Lord, and he credited it to him as righteousness. He also said to him, I am the Lord, who brought you out of Ur of the Chaldeans to give you this land to possess. But he said, Sovereign Lord, how can I know that I will possess it? Then he said, Bring me a 3-year-old heifer, a 3-year-old female goat, a 3-year-old ram, a turtledove, and a young pigeon. He brought him all these, cut them in two, and placed each piece opposite the other, but he did not cut the birds in two. The birds came down on the carcasses, but Abram drove them away. As the sun was setting, a deep sleep fell on Abram, and horror and darkness fell on him. Then the Lord said to Abram, Know for certain that your descendants will be strangers in a land that is not theirs, and they will be enslaved and mistreated for 400 years. But I will judge the nation they serve as slaves, and afterward they will come out with great possessions. You, however, will go to your ancestors in peace and be buried at a good old age. In the 4th generation, the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet complete. When the sun had set and darkness had fallen, a smoking furnace with a blazing torch appeared and passed between the pieces. On that day the Lord made a covenant with Abram, saying, To your descendants I have given this land, from the river of Egypt to the great river Euphrates. And the Kenite, and the Kenizzite, and the Cadmonite, and the Hittite, and the Perizzite, and the Rephaim, and the Amorite, and the Canaanite, and the Girgashite, and the Jebusite.